Prim and Prop. No, I want you to say that's your name. My name is the Ava Hill on Instagram.
My name
You
is
trying
Angelo.
you trying to change yours?
No, I don't know. Somehow we got in a conversation about. I'm not sure. I mean, it was like
They had a symbol for it and everything.
Wow.
You don't want to show them. Hi guys, welcome to the after show for Rebel episode 4 titled Black Not Blue. Stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
This city is gonna burn down to the ground. Folks was already hella mad before this mess.
All you ever think about is yourself. I'd be careful about biting the hand of the people who feed you.
I heard what happened out in the field. It's hard for me to look out for people when I don't know what to expect.
You admit you were trying to cause harm to a fellow officer.
I know when right is right. Y'all might think I betrayed you or the badge, but let me set y'all straight on something. We ain't family. This is a job.
I am done protecting you.
Allegiance to badges. I pledge allegiance to Rebel.
Yeah, there it is. That's the trailer.
Right.
Yes.
That was amazing. Well, let's just get right into it. My name is Ava Hill, and you can find me on Instagram at the Ava Hill. And to my left.
Hey guys, my name is TK Trinidad. You can find me on everything at TK Trinidad, and we also have the live chat going. And some Shaft. Okay.
Oh,
All right.
Makes sense.
Okay.
She's like the female Shaft.
Yeah.
A little Shaft background.
I like this.
Yeah, this is a classic right here. And we have the live chat going, and also and the lights. There you go. And also all the comments. You can hit us up with comments on iTunes and YouTube.
Hey, what's up, guys? You can hit me up on Twitter, on Instagram at DeAnJilo's at DeAnJilo TV, and then on Twitter and at DeAnJilo on Instagram. But we got some special guests.
Yes,
today.
we do. I want to welcome to the show Dallas Jackson and Amani Walker.
Yes.
Amani, you are the creator and co-producer of Rebel, and Dallas, you are the executive producer. Thank you for coming on the show. We're
Thank you for having us.
so excited to have you. I guess let's just get right into it.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any, do you want to start with questions for them first, or
Let's
get
get
into
some
the
questions.
episode itself, or, yeah, awesome.
All
Let's
right,
get into it.
So, Amani, you're the one who created the show. Is there anything that kind of from your life or something that you've seen in somebody else's life that brought up the character of Rebel?
I wanted to create a show starring a black woman, an empowered black woman, and I think that we all, as human beings or as people, may find ourselves voiceless in a situation, especially when we're up against authority. So I wanted to create somebody who just wasn't afraid to just say what, who's unfiltered and just ready to take down anybody. So she was like me, but a 2.0 version of me, like the version of myself that I could never be, that I could put her, I was raised not to be, but I could put that on paper and just kind of bring that character to life. So that's how she came about.
Go ahead.
Oh, one thing I have just been in a couple episodes in now, seeing like the setting is the Bay. Like, why was that kind of the pinpointed area of all places to kind of have the main setting of this show?
Well, originally, when I originally wrote it, it was taking place in South LA. So the Bay, that was a John Singleton thing. I think that we haven't really had any TV shows that explored the Bay Area. So it's like, okay, we've done South LA, so let's put it in a fresh environment.
Yeah.
So that's how the Oakland.
If you could bring your mic a little bit closer to it, I can't hear you a little bit, just so our viewers can hear you as
yes,
well.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So it was just a fresh geographical place for it to be.
And how long did that process take, creating Rebel, and how did you and John Singleton connect?
So I wrote the script back in like 2013. Dallas met John at an Oscar party, so he can tell you more about that. So after the script was finished, he just so happened to meet John, so it just kind of
Worked out.
Yes.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. There's a little bit more of a backstory with the script, but we'll just jump off from there. Yeah. I mean, Amani had. I'm a writer. Amani's a writer. I had helped with her selling a couple other things before, with me as a producer and her as the writer. And she had
we got some extra voices in the background. I want our audience to like be a little confused if they can hear that. Engineer, please.
I can hear it too.
Yeah. Just
I'm not sure if they
won't be
can
able to
hear.
you. Yeah.
I'm not sure if they're paying. Can they hear us?
It's gone. Cool.
Oh, it's
perfect.
gone.
Sorry.
Okay, awesome.
Somebody got fired.
somebody just got yelled at. That's
all. Well, so the whole thing of it was, this was something that I thought was special that she had written. She had written a couple things before. We had sold them, one to ABC Family and another one to Stars. And this was different in that if you look at, and we had this conversation, if you looked at what was going on in 2013 with Scandal, and that being like the night where, I don't know about you, DeAnJilo, but y'all be like, we ain't doing nothing tonight. We watching Scandal. This is what we're tweeting about this week. Nah, no dates tonight. This is girls' night, whatever. There was something interesting about that initial Scandal release. And so Amani and I had a conversation, and it was about how do we take advantage of that, because that opened a door for, in my opinion, more things to come. This was before Empire. This was before Power. Scandal kind of, this was before How to Get Away with Murder. Scandal was kind of like at the forefront of something. And so the things that she had worked on before, because of the marketplace, didn't necessarily have a woman of color in the front. So it was like, okay, now's your chance to do that. And so she had came back to me with this script. I thought it was really good. I mean, obviously, I'm always tough on stuff. And because she is my wife, I'm going to be extra tough because...
It's not like, oh, this is great. No.
Yeah, no, I don't.
None of that line stuff. I like that.
Yeah, I don't get down like that because somebody's going to be looking at me like, oh, you this is your wife, you beamed her up. So for me, I'm extra tough because it's got to stand on its own without me. So she gave me the script, and I thought it was good, and we went through a couple more drafts, and I went to an Oscar party that Berry Gordy was hosting for The Butler for Lee Daniels.
Oh, nice.
And
I wasn't invited.
There was
Yeah.
In case you were wondering, no.
Well, I was a guest of Leon Isaac Kennedy. Y'all might be too young for Leon Isaac, but Leon Isaac Kennedy starred in the penitentiary movies back in the day. So he took me to this party, and there was some incredible people there. Berry Gordy, who I already met, Mr. Gordy, but like Sharon Stone and all these people, and John was there. And Leon Isaac was like, "Oh, you guys don't know each other. You should know each other, just brothers in the industry."
Right.
And we ended up talking, and it was like an older, younger brother kind of thing. Just instant, surprised we had never hung out before. And then we hung out later on. I went with him to another Oscar party because it was like Oscar weekend, so we went to the Weinstein party.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is why you're going to Miami right now.
Yeah.
She's going to Miami to get away because
this is all in the same.
Can we get an invite though?
This is all in the same afternoon.
Get an invite?
Y'all, we can hang now.
This
The
is the same
Weinstein
afternoon.
party? I mean, come on.
We peoples now.
I wasn't invited.
But this was all in the same afternoon.
Okay.
Jeez Louise.
Yeah, so we left there, went there, and there, like I said, we just was bonded, and so I waited a couple days because he was like, let's find something to work on, and I told Amani, I'm gonna talk to John about Rebel, and I waited a couple days, and I said, look, I want to come talk to you about something specific business wise, And he's like, yeah, come meet me on the boat. And he lives on his boat in the marina.
Yeah. He loves his boat.
Right.
And
oh, you been to the boat?
Oh.
Hey.
Another conversation.
Because you know, he has some things on the boat.
I mean, John, I would love to go on the boat.
Yeah, we could hook that up. We can make
Okay.
that up. And I went to the boat and I pitched him her script, and he was like, man, you know, first of all, he's like, Cleopatra Jones is like my favorite movie, and Shaft, which is why we did, and
Shaft.
And
I
so
had to do
he
it.
read it, he dug it, and from there, I helped put together the pieces to
Kind
to
of
facilitate it.
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't want to rely on him to go make it happen. I wanted him to be involved creatively, and then I went
And did like the rest of
I did the work. I went,
Okay.
yeah, and so, you know, we made sure that the integrity of the script was always maintained, and that then we entered into a development situation with Mar Vista Entertainment, and that led to us going to BET, where I had a relationship with the head of programming, Zola Marshriki.
That's interesting. So what about like I'm assuming this isn't you guys' first time collabing, more or less, but like what is that like to have that dynamic in your writing and in your relationship? Yeah.
No, I'll let her answer first.
No, he's very encouraging, and he's been just a cheerleader from the start. Like from the very first thing that I wrote, I told him that I wanted to. I was like, I want to write for TV. Like I had a very specific goal about my writing career, and I wanted to create. Like and I know most writers they go, they staff write and that's fine.
Right.
But I'm like, I want to do my own thing.
Yeah.
And he's like, it's going to be harder for you. It's going to take longer. I'm down for the challenge. I had a specific vision, and so he's like, you know what? Write a screenplay first. And so I came to him with the idea, and he's like, it's a good idea. He's like, if you write it, I guarantee you can sell it. I'm like, okay. And he kept saying, did you write it yet? Did you write it? No. Did you write it? So he pushes me, to do it. Even with Rebel, everything that I sold prior to that, he brought up there were comedies. Mm-hmm. And so he was like, you should write a drama. When we were talking about it, with Scandal, it's like, what Scandal is doing, it opens the door for a strong black female lead. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay, my comedies are like 30 pages. You're trying to push me to write 60 pages. And so it
Don't
helps.
Be lazy.
Don't be lazy.
Don't be cute.
But he stays on trend. Like, I think I'm just like in the creative seat, but he stays like with the business and, and so that helps me because, I'm just at my computer and I'm doing writing.
Right.
So he has made so many relationships in this business. So he, it's like to see him in a room, he's charming in a room, but at the same time he's smart. So he's taking the time to learn the business. And so it helps me to navigate my way through it too. So
I mean, and for me, I look, if I don't like it, I'm not feeling it, and I don't want to be the guy that's hating, but it's just like I'm always looking at something like, can I actually go do something with this? And if not, I can't. I'm just like, I can't do nothing with that. At least I can't. Right. Maybe somebody else can. Mm-hmm. So I always
but
try
I've never given you anything whack, so that's not the conversation.
Yeah.
I mean, we've ever had, we haven't had that conversation.
Well, I was about to give you your props, but
she took them. She took them.
Yeah, but
she took them.
Yeah. But what I will say is that she has come in with stuff because there's a lack of female characters on TV. I mean, a lack of female characters that reflect real, particularly black women.
Preach.
And women of color. And so one thing she had written that I really liked was about this Hispanic nun and what that looked like as a nun in an urban environment, like a nun in South Central. So she does these different kind of female characters. So the collaboration is fine. I kind of look at it as there's a separation. Like there's the marriage part,
and then there's
the business part, and the two don't have to intertwine per se because there's just it's tricky, but I'd rather. Okay, if we're gonna talk about business, let's go over here and sit down and talk about business. And when we're finished talking about business, I'm gonna get up and go make a grilled cheese sandwich. I don't want to talk about that no more. So we've figured out a way to collaborate on that. And ironically enough, Rebel's the first TV show of mine to get made. I've worked on a TV show before, but I hadn't had something that I was the Soul or one of the Soul EPs on, and this is her first show that's gotten made, and she's the sole creator. So God always
congratulations
God works
to you. It's
it
a
out.
great show.
Thank you.
It's a great
so much.
show.
I'm very proud of it.
Yeah,
We've
you
got
should
some
be.
great. We were able to get some really good people to come work on it.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
absolutely.
it's amazing.
Especially the cast. Before we get into the show, I do want to ask you, I know that, Amani, you were talking about how great you are when it comes to networking and that kind of thing. So what advice would you
fantastic.
No, really.
But I'm not.
Really.
Even more so, why I want to ask, what if you had advice for someone who does want to write or someone who does want to produce or an actor who wants to get into the business, what advice would you give them as far as like how to network correctly and that kind of thing and moving to LA and that whole spill?
Well, my journey into it is unique, but I would say that the biggest thing that helped me was that I started out in the mailroom at a movie studio. So I was able to learn about the business.
I applied for one of those jobs.
And you should keep applying. Like I tell people,
I'm here for the mailroom.
It's cool to
Here for it.
It's cool to say you want to be an actor,
Yeah.
or personality, but if you really want to get inside, work on somebody's desk. Work at a low-level job at a network or a production company or a studio where you can really learn the business, because being an actor, you're not privy to everything that's happening.
Right.
And the thing that I learned in that mailroom was, if it said classified on it, or go read it. If a script came in and they were paying $300,000 for the script, make a copy for yourself. Go read it. If I saw a deal memo and it said this actor was getting
Such and such amount
to match his quote, I went to go find out what that quote meant, what that was about. So my biggest thing is if you want to be in the business, try to get a job in the business. Particularly if you all look college educated. If you have your
as a compliment, you're also right.
Yeah, you all look very smart.
You're correct.
So, and I'm assuming your audience is as such. So I'm saying, use that degree to go get a job. Because you can always go get an acting job. I mean, I'm not saying it's easy, but I'm saying there's ways for you to go audition.
It makes it easier once you get in that door, is what you're saying pretty much, versus just...
Well, I'm saying that there's more to the business than just
acting.
Than just the glamorous part
right.
of it.
Right.
And usually the people that are on the other side of it, the executives, the writers, the producers, they're getting paid way more.
Oh, yeah.
Because they are doing something a little bit more intricate than just coming in and saying lines.
Yep.
An actor is just, and no disrespect to actors because they're necessary and you need great actors for your product, but it's simply a product and you have to learn how to assemble that product, get it out there and sold, i.e. your script, or how to work on that product, which is, we look at Rebel as it's a product. It's something that we created and now it's out there and it's on your shelf or in your iTunes or whatever. You can go buy it.
Yeah.
But it took some work to get that product out there.
Yeah. It's a good question.
That's great advice. I guess let's go ahead and get into the episode. There's a lot that happened in episode 4. Let's see. The biggest thing that I took away, I don't know about you guys, but Rebel visiting Mac's mom was pretty... it was pretty interesting because she even elaborates on how she still has a relationship with Mac's mother despite what has gone on, and then Mac kind of hires her to become like an investigator for him.
Miss Charlotte.
Yeah, so
she was getting a little free.
She was smiling. She had a different type of smile.
Yeah, and
she wasn't born old.
And I'm gonna walk away with that advice that you are never too old. It is never too late.
Right.
You just, it's just.
That's why they make Viagra for the old dudes.
Well, it's actually at the
it's real.
At the old people's home. Is that the PC?
Nursing
home.
home.
Right. Old people home. But at the nursing home, they actually hand out condoms relatives and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
That's a thing. Like,
Yeah.
that's,
it is.
Okay, so
Yeah.
my grandmother is not. We were actually debating on putting her in a nursing home, and she's not going.
Would you
Nah,
just
she
stop
should be
her
happy.
fun?
Right.
Yeah,
Wow.
she
She
can't.
grown. She really grown.
Well, put it this
I'm
way.
kidding. I'm kidding.
Put it this way. Your grandmama gonna get some if she wants
Hey,
some.
you better
You
tell
know
her.
what?
You better tell her.
Honestly, I mean, not to segue to my grandmother, but I've tried to get her out dating, and she is like done. She's like, listen, I'm 84. I'm done. Like, I just want to chill. You know, watch CNN all day.
Charlotte's got to show her the ropes.
I know Charlotte is out here. She had candlelight. She had like a little candlelight situation. Of course, that was interrupted. But
Well, let me say something in regards to what you just brought up with Rebel and Mac going to see her mother.
Yeah.
Going to see his mother. I had lunch today with, ironically enough, with Abdul Williams. So Abdul wrote New Edition. Mm-hmm. And so we're talking about Rebel over lunch today. And he's like, man, I mean, he and much love to Abdul. He's like, I love the show. And he's like, it kind of rubbed me the wrong way that Rebel's going to, and Mac are like,
Still have a dynamic.
Dynamic.
Yeah.
But he was like, but he's like, if it's rubbing me the wrong way, that means I care.
Right.
So.
Well, me and Abdul could get along because I have the same perception.
So, and Amani can talk to this too, but like, that is going somewhere. You know, like that.
Dynamic.
That dynamic is going somewhere, but at the same time, it rubs me the wrong way too a little bit too, but I know what's gonna. I know what's.
Which is
we
dun
know.
dun dun.
No, don't spoil it for the
So
audience.
Okay. No
but,
clues.
But
Sorry,
I think
guys.
that is an interesting decision that occurred in the writers' room to try to get those two back to rekindle their relationship.
Yeah.
Because in the pilot, they were talking about their relationship, but you never got to see it.
Like the details.
Right.
And if anything, it keeps the viewer engaged because
Yeah.
for me, I got a little frustrated too because it kind of reminds me of Rebel's relationship with TJ as well because that frustrated me too because I'm like, either you're separated or as far as TJ goes, because he was kind of having a situation on the side. And so, viewing this relationship with her and Mac, I don't know. What about you guys? I just don't know if I could have still kind of been there for...
How quickly? Because I feel like there's two things that got her to forgive him more or less. The flash drive that showed the video that basically proved, I still remember him. And then him opening up
But see,
about
for me,
why.
I just...
Yeah.
I would get even more defensive about it.
That's
I guess,
how I feel too.
Right, because
Yeah.
it's like... Obviously, you're showing me footage of the relationship that you have with my brother, and even still, you found it okay
To shoot him.
So I don't really
But
understand.
The stress thing.
But wait,
Yeah.
he didn't shoot him.
He didn't shoot him.
He shot at him.
Yeah.
And then she shot him.
Yeah.
Then when the cops came, Malik tried to run, and they killed Malik because they assumed he had shot the partner. So it's but I'm just saying.
Yeah.
The action started with Mac pointing that gun at him and pulling the trigger. So from what you're saying, yes, I think that where they're going to go with it, you'll really enjoy.
Yeah, I mean, you really have to stay
tuned.
engaged.
Yeah.
You have to. It keeps you on the edge of your seat because you're like, where's this relationship gonna go?
It feels like with Rebel because in her life as a cop or as a detective is so black and white that she can afford to have the relationships be more on the gray level of things. It's just like you don't necessarily have to cut off a relationship. Some people are that way, and then some people are like, there's ebbs and flows in a relationship, and she seems to understand that, given the fact that her day job is just very cut and dry. So it kind of made sense to me. Like, I understand where she's
and
coming
maybe
from.
her job has given her the ability to do that, because even being a cop, you have to understand that people do make mistakes. Sometimes there are mistakes that people do that cannot be undone. However, I feel like that gives you it gives you as a person a little bit more empathy when it comes to someone's behavior. Do you agree or not?
Yeah, well, I think I feel you, but I think that another variable is that he's going to be, like, she's a private investigator. She needs inside people to, like, help her investigate and get contacts. I think that's another layer there. I mean, it's hard to think that she's maybe like there, like, but I think part of, like, they had a relationship that seems genuine, but also the fact that he could be a future contact, as we saw in some of the episodes, like more of the episode, like, that'll be another important.
Well, you have to think. I think in any phase of life. It's like if you burn, she already told him. If you burn bridges on your way up or down, you're gonna still see those people.
Right.
So it doesn't make sense for her to, like, I understand, you know, the feeling with everything that happened with her brother, but she totally cut that off.
Yeah.
You know, she still has to deal with them. She had to go to a court case that they had done before she left the job. So it just kind of makes me like, it just makes sense to me for her to just kind of maintain that relationship. Obviously, he's not there every night eating popcorn, which that would have been an issue to me.
Right.
But leaving the doors open.
And hey, she's getting paid now, so
Yeah,
double.
He's paying her double.
But
So
here's another way to look
That's
at it too. I'm sorry, I said Brandon. That's the actor that plays Mac. Mac says to Rebel, "You have blood on your hands too," and if she wouldn't have shot him, there's a version. If she wouldn't have shot him, her brother wouldn't have got shot because the cops would have came and saw that there's a black man on the ground. 2 cops got the situation under control. No need to fire. But there's
the emotion.
There's a little
cliffhanger.
There's something. So I'm not gonna give anything away. But
keep like hanging it right away.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is they're both at fault in this situation.
Right.
Yeah.
Although there will be some
Mr.
revelations.
Knight blames Rebel too. Like in the pilot, you know, he's like, this is just as much as your fault as anyone else. So that relationship isn't cut off too.
Yeah.
So it's like, how does she basically reconcile these relationships? And then, you know, Mac is kind of coming at her with, you know, I've been diagnosed with PTSD. So, you know, he's slowly but surely trying to, you know, dig his way out of the cave. But yeah, you got to keep watching to see.
Yeah, it definitely keeps you at the edge of your seat. And it also goes into how in the episode it revealed that I guess police were trying to say that their body cams were turned off.
Right.
So what are your thoughts about that? Because obviously we see this play out in reality when, you know, there are cases that come out and, you know, oftentimes I've heard, you know, police kind of say the whole, well, the body cam was turned off or, you know, you can't really see what really happened. How important was it for you guys to incorporate that into this episode?
Well, I'll let you speak to that because she spends.
Yeah,
I'm kind of an overall guy, casting. I'm on set, all that. But she spent a good time in the writers' room, so she could kind of speak to the.
I mean, we saw what happened with Sandra Bland when she's out the car. We see some part of the footage. Clearly, the footage has been manipulated.
Yeah.
And we argue, oh, you know, if cops wore, you know, the body cams, we would see what happens all the time. But it doesn't say that footage can't be manipulated. So in this case, we wanted to touch on that because, you know, yes, they have the body cams, but then we turn, oh, this is exciting. We, you know, this will help us figure out what happened. And then you see, oh, well, they weren't turned on. So for us, it was just to, you know, to shine the light on that. Like, you know, police have an obligation to show the truth. And when these shootings happen, we don't get that truth.
Right. And
victims, you know, become, you know, victim. They're victimized in more ways than one. It's like they're always blamed for their own death, even with a body cam, even with people, you know, they pull out their cell phones and shoot. And, you know, and especially when you're black. So when you white, it's, oh, he wasn't hugged enough, he wasn't loved enough. What, you know, what mental condition, you know, was he on, you know, medication? We don't get that privilege. And so when we talk about black privilege, white privilege, sometimes white people are like, oh, I still have student loans. White privilege isn't about wealth. It's not about finances. It's, you get the benefit of the doubt.
Right.
We don't get the benefit of the doubt. And so that's how, why we brought in the body cam.
I think another thing that was like interesting about the dynamic of seeing that was, I know just like I'm from DC, like when
What
you
part?
in the, like northeast, southeast like area. You know that area well?
Yeah, I went to Howard. I lived in Northwest.
Oh, that's what's up. So
I lived on 1st and T Street, 1st and W.
Wow.
So
I went to DC a lot.
No,
so I can't really relate, but
we having our moment.
Yeah,
Can you-
I know. I'll let you guys have your moment. I'll let you guys have your
My
moment.
point is, you've seen some things.
Yeah. So, and my point, like, so when it comes to like street talk, like or street life, you know what I mean? Like you're supposed to, you don't snitch on each other, you don't throw each other under the bus, and you see parallels to that when it comes to in the police community, at least especially in this episode. Just the guy, forget the white guy who's kind of. He's about to retire in 6 months.
Oh, right.
Captain,
So
Captain,
he was part of manipulating the body cam, and it's because we look out for our own. We don't snitch on our own. You know what I mean?
Well,
So
I mean, it's
right.
like you know, they will say, oh, the community, if you guys, you know, drop this stop snitching policy, but they're the biggest.
Right.
But see that,
And that's what I'm saying.
And for
Yeah.
me, that's just, it's so nerve wracking because we depend on these people to do their job with honesty, and we trust these people. And so to me, I just feel like there's no room to cover up mistake, or you know, to cover up huge mistakes like that when there's a death involved. And it's kind of sad that society has come to this. I feel like we don't take death seriously anymore. I feel like we don't really
desensitized a little bit.
there's no empathy. It's kind of like, yeah, well, he died. Like, okay, well, he shouldn't have been doing this 2 days ago, or da da da. And it's like we feel like we're entitled to take someone's life and then have excuses for why we did it, and it's scary because it's just not right to do, and it's just it's scary.
Yeah.
That's
here's
happening.
Yeah, when we open up episode 4, Rebel is being questioned by another detective because April Summerdale's been killed.
Right.
So whoever killed her felt like she broke some code or did something that warranted her to be
killed,
to be murdered.
We think.
So
was that
no cliffhanger there?
Was that a cliffhanger?
So, well, it's implied in the episode because Rebel.
He buffed that.
No, well, Rebel
buffed that. That was good.
Rebel says, you know, obviously somebody murdered April Summerdale after I questioned her.
Yeah.
So something is going on.
Right.
Right. So, you know, it is no mystery that the police do cover up their own mistakes or their own crimes. So, you know, there's a bigger fish here
than just the case itself.
Well, and I think Rebel is now seeing things because she's outside of that.
Yes.
Right.
You know, she's outside of that bubble, and she has become, and ultimately her brother, they've become victims of the thing that she was a part of.
Right.
So that's a tricky gray line, and this show is about gray lines.
Yeah.
You know?
Speaking of, we got to talk about my girl Lauren London because that's big. All right.
Well, I have one question.
Okay.
Well, first off, because
saying,
we do have a lot of viewers, so I just want to make sure when we say police, we're not referring to all the police. Just a little FYI.
Fair.
I just want to make sure we just get that out there.
Right.
Now,
Rebel's not anti-police. Just to be clear on that.
Yeah.
It's not anti-police.
And there are good, and like particularly Lieutenant Gold, who is played by Giancarlo Esposito. He is a by-the-book policeman. He wants to do the right thing. In fact, he's trying to, now that he's slowly figuring out there's something wrong in his force, he's trying to uncover that so he can purge it from his police force. And that's how episode 4 opens up, with him on the stand saying, look, I'm trying to make right what has happened.
Yeah, that's a great point. Because,
And so, you know, and even to the point where Michael T calls him a Tom, and he says, "You don't know the battles I fight. I fight battles that you you're not aware of. You're on the outside yelling in, and I'm a black man inside this system."
Right.
So, to your point exactly, it's not all police. I think what we're doing is taking this character and through her eyes, letting her see the corruption that has gotten into the thing that she used to be a part of.
Right. So Rebel is definitely, obviously, very police-based or heavily police-based. Is there, do you have almost like police consultants?
We do. We have a sheriff. Her name is Gaynell. And there's a former cop who does the tech. So, yeah, there are actual law enforcement voices that are involved.
Yeah, that's awesome. Because I hate when certain shows come out and they're, talking about a subject and you're looking at
no credible source.
Yeah, or you take the Pepsi commercial, for instance. Like, really?
Yeah.
Right.
You had a great segue, but get on Bay.
I know. I had
get on Bay real quick.
When you said the gray line, when we saw we kind of flashed back to the military scene, and so basically Rebel and Lauren London's character, I forgot her name in the show, but Kim, yes, they had to kill the baby in order to survive whatever, they could have died, you know what I mean? So I guess, how did y'all feel about that scene? Because that's pretty much the end of the episode, and that's really controversial, but it gives us insight into what's going on the other side, when you're at war and all that type of stuff, moral lines, excuse me, I'm getting my words together, but just moral lines kind of blurred. How did you guys feel about that?
For me, it was very interesting seeing the PTSD kind of situation when it comes to Kim, and how when she was in the restaurant and she saw baby crying, how that traumatized her even still. Sorry, my words are like all over the place, but you know, I don't have PTSD, so for me to actually see that and see how something can affect you years later, months later, whatever, and it do it such in a traumatized way, it was very interesting. To see that, and I wish Lauren London could be here, because I would love to know her process as an actor, like what she went through to kind of capture that in an authentic way. You know, if she looked up PTSD, if you know how that was portraying that, etc. But it was very interesting to see that.
Well, I'll say two things. The director on that episode, Carl Seaton, did a good job of getting that out of her.
He did. He was here last week. That was last week.
And the baby, they didn't kill the baby. The baby died. But they didn't kill. Rebel told Kim to keep the baby quiet, and Kim accidentally smothered the baby to death. And Rebel says to her, you know, you don't have to carry that around with you. We were in war, and things happen in war. And you were doing the job of a soldier. She says that after we saw what happened. Which hopefully gave her
peace.
Right,
somewhat.
which hopefully gave her some kind of way
closure.
to, exactly. And I think that was the purpose of that scene. But of the scene of her talking to her afterwards. But Rebel kept the secret of that. Only those two know what happened. So that's just a little clarity in that. But in shooting that baby was not. Obviously the baby didn't die. The baby. I mean, we want to keep it real, but the baby, when we were doing that scene, it was a baby, so he would not like just shut down on command. So we had to shoot the scene all the way up until that, and then we went and shot another scene, and Carl told the baby's mother, "Come get me when he goes to sleep." And so when the baby went to sleep, we all had to be like, they crept him on set. Everybody was like, shh. In fact, the shh were loud. We're like, shh, you shh, stop the shh.
You shh.
Yeah.
He about to wake up.
And then the baby, so they brought the baby on set, and then they shot the part of Lauren bringing him down and the mama taking him and the baby. And that baby was good because he stayed asleep. So we were long enough to shoot that part for that effect.
But also too, so that scene that happened when the baby died, but that's also the secret that she's keeping. That's like a source of contention between her and TJ. So that was also a reason for that to happen too. It's like, you know, so she's keeping secrets from TJ. So it's like, you know, she wants something more from him, but you know, it all started back when the baby was on. So it's like her concealing that pushed him.
Man, I want to. Can we go over? We can't go over time. It's already 8:01.
Well, ask them.
They ain't say nothing. Keep going.
Oh, they're not okay. Because I really, really want to touch on this, and it's the title of the episode, which is in the episode, Renee told the chief, "You used to be black, now you're just blue," and that quote really stuck out to me. What I would like to hear from everybody, actually, what your thoughts were on that quote, because that touches on so many things that are happening currently in our communities with that. Because, you know, of course, with the Black Lives Matter movement, then people started creating the blue lives and then the all lives and all that kind of stuff. So what are your thoughts on that statement? Because it like really, when he said that, I was like, damn. Yeah.
I think,
you know,
it's more so the accusation is inherently flawed because it brings the idea that you can't do both, which is the problem, because he is essentially doing both, trying to represent both with true integrity. But if you don't come far enough to one side, come far enough to the other side and represent them, then they don't feel like they're being represented.
And then they won't claim you.
So that's all. Short.
I don't know. It's just a frustrating thing, because you have like you have all these parties over the last maybe 2 years, you know, repping for, you know, whoever, and nobody's being empathetic to the other side.
Yeah.
At least trying to understand. And that's like my biggest frustration with a lot of things that are going on. It's like, well, at least try to, at least listen to me.
There's no empathy.
Yeah,
people don't have empathy anymore.
Yeah, at least listen to me, at least know what's going on, and nobody's like, well, no, this is how it is, and this is what some media company told me how it is. Take the whole thing with Beyonce and the Super Bowl. They had this whole thing about the Black Panthers, and everybody's just spewing off the same facts that one news organization told them. When there's books, there's movies, they're still living.
Right.
That you could at least try to do, and nobody's doing that.
Well, it's funny because they were saying, well, the Black Panthers were a terrorist organization. I was like, no, they weren't. But I mean, you could paint the same brush with the police. I mean, I have police in my family. My cousin is a Black female detective. She was one of the earlier people we talked about when we were in the development stages of this. Is just talking to her for stuff, for ideas and fact checking. But when you have family members that are police, you see the identification with that. I mean, I know my cousin. I know her heart. I know she's not out whooping Black people because she's Black and there's some self-hatred there or whatever. I know she's trying to do her job. And I also know that she does have an allegiance to her
police
job,
right.
her police force. So it's tricky, but most police go into the job really genuinely wanting to make a difference. And somewhere along the line, some go bad because they feel like there is no other way to make a difference but to take the brutal route.
Yeah, but sometimes there's that expectation of a friend whose brother-in-law is a cop. And when he first started, and he has to pull over a Black person, we Black, give me a chance. And it's like, I have to do my job. And so it's not about me being Black and helping you off the hook. I have a job to do. Because I have a family to feed. And so, there's that too. So as I was saying before, Rebel isn't anti-police. It shines the light on the whole thing, and I think in a very real way. And with Charles being Black, not blue, I mean, that episode was written by Terry Kopp. And we were in the room, I was in the room, when it came about. And it's like, as Dallas said before, he is a good cop, and he is trying to do his job. But, and he has been doing it for a long time. And so like most, Black men in that job, it's like, okay, I have a family feed, I have a job, I have to uphold the job that I'm sworn in to do. Like, you're sworn in, at this job. But at the same time, some do, go left, some may, turn a blind eye to it. And also, too, there's quotas to make. You have to make, arrest. What are you going to do? Like, I know someone who was fired as a cop because he was too nice.
Oh,
So,
wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting. Well, I think, honestly, the show does such a great job depicting all sides. Because you see what cops are experiencing when something like this happens. You see what families are experiencing. You see someone who's in the police force, like Rebel, who has to kind of, straddle the fence on with both the police community and just being a citizen. And her brother is, has been killed. So I think it's a great story that has done a great job with kind of depicting all sides. And it's been a pleasure to be.
Yeah, thank you guys.
I have a question before we go.
Okay.
I love this.
So at what point now, because we're 4 episodes in, it seems like you guys have genuinely been interested.
Yes.
So did it kick in after the pilot, or did it, and let's be honest, for the whole world to see, did it kick in after the pilot, or did the pilot pique the interest and then you were like, let me give it a chance with another episode, or were you hooked from the pilot? Like, because it seems like you're getting more, each of you are starting to lean in a little bit more, but for each one of you, when was it where you're like, this is...
Go ahead.
Okay. I look at shows kind of from a different lens because I am an actor, so I look at it from the actor's perspective, and then I look at it from the storyline. And as an actor, I appreciated that this was a show that showcased a Black female lead, so that immediately kind of called my interest. And I also liked how different the story was, because there's really not anything on television like that right now. There actually isn't anything like Rebel on TV right now. And what I also liked about it was that it's depicting things that are relatable, and that's happening right now. So with all those things, and then with the storyline itself, I wanted to see how Rebel was going to solve her brother's case. and I wanted to also see like how she was going to straddle the fence between being a cop and being a citizen and how that works, and then seeing the inside in the police community and that kind of thing. So I think the pilot kind of drew me in from the beginning, and we've said on the show like BET has done an amazing job, you know, with getting great projects, you know, on their network. So I'm proud to do the after shows. It's been an amazing experience between this and the Quad, and which is also a very great written series as well. So yeah, it drew me in from the beginning.
From
And
the pilot.
Interesting.
from the pilot, and congrats to you. I think it's an amazing project, and I hope that, you know, there's many more to come. You have
It's like a good
you have a very good reason to go to Miami. So
Thank you.
I mean, it
Sans
drew.
boots.
still sexy, still sexy.
It drew me in from the commercial for sure, because I love the reason being is because you have, when they portray black women in television or movies, it's usually like it feels one dimensional. And it's like, why can't you, this is podcast or whatever, why can't you kick ass and also be feminine and also have and also have somebody want you and also have all this other things? And it just feels like even in today's society, they're just so used to either seeing black women twerking or being loud, or, you know, then they're putting you in this position when you're in the industry. So when you have somebody like Rebel, you see that, you know, she's not twerking, she's educated, she has a job, and she still has this thing with TJ, and, you know, that's life. Her life is not necessarily, you could apply that and put that on somebody who's not black, the situation that she's in. So I really love that it drew me in from the commercial, because it's just like, this is, you know, I see this in me, because when people see me, they already apply all this one thing. So I really love the character that way.
Well, it was important for me to create that too, because you're right, it's like we're either oversexed or we're so hard that we can't accept any type of love.
Right.
And I'm like, and I just got tired of seeing that, you know, and I'm like, you know what, I want to create somebody who, you know, is the 2.0 of me, who's badass, who's gonna kick ass. But at the end of the day, she's a woman with womanly needs, and she's not afraid to say, you know what, let's have sex tonight.
Yeah, she called it the magic stick in this episode, right? She said the magic stick didn't make me stay, honey. Okay, let's get it straight. Okay, DeAnJilo.
I would say I'm on the other side where because what keeps me at a show is having emotions towards the characters. So what the pilot did for me was set up the aspect that there's this episode, the show's gonna have integrity. It's gonna speak to some things that I've experienced as a black male. So that is what got me to come back the next episode. But then I become more and more invested, because I have I felt some type of way about Mac and Rebel having a dynamic. So I think for me it was a little bit more. It took a little bit more time, but it was some small things that I liked that made me want to keep coming back.
Well, I will say, and thank you. Each one of those insights is great, because we're always like, we talk about, now that we have a show, it's like, okay, well, I wonder how they feel about this or feel about
Just
that.
bring us on the boat and we can discuss more.
Absolutely.
More things.
So it's those are all great perspectives, and I promise you this, it gets better and better every week.
It does.
And
Yeah,
I don't mean better like quality or whatever. I mean like better like story wise.
Yeah.
It's going it's going to get a little dark.
BET's doing its thing. I'm really proud of the projects, the projects that they have put on. Excuse me. We have to wrap.
Let's wrap.
I don't want to. There's so many things that I want to touch on, but we're running out of time.
Thank you for
I
having
know
us.
we didn't get a chance to touch on Hector and the drug.
Listen, we could be. I could be here for a whole nother.
The whole scene. That was a whole scene.
That was a whole thing in itself. But go ahead, TK.
I just want to shout out Black Jones. He's been following us from the Quad to now, so he's in the live chat. Sorry we couldn't get to your questions, but
shout out to Black Jones.
Yeah. Oh, see, you got 3 shout outs. So there you go.
There you go. That's
Come back for the season finale, Black Jones.
There you go.
Well, my name is Ava Hill. You can find me on Instagram at the Ava Hill or on Facebook at Ava Hill. I don't have a Twitter or a Snapchat. I'm not with it. I'm sorry. But thank you so much for tuning into this show. We really appreciate your views. And before I get to my co-host, I want to thank Dallas Jackson and Amani Walker for coming tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you for doing
It was such a pleasure. I enjoyed all of your answers. Have fun in Miami. I'm jealous.
And where can they
To my
find you
left.
guys?
Yes,
Oh,
well,
yeah.
yes. I'm sorry. Where can they find you guys?
I'm on Twitter. I'm so new to Twitter like you. You don't have.
I don't even have a Twitter, honey.
You have to tell
I don't
them
even
your
have a
Twitter
Twitter.
name.
I know. I'm Amani Walker, OG. On
OG.
Twitter.
Okay.
Yes, because there were too many. I'm like, I don't know them. It's me.
Ooh, original.
The original.
one.
Amani.Walker on Instagram, and I'm on Facebook, but that's private. So follow me on Twitter.
I'm on Twitter, DJ Classics with a Z at the end.
No Instagrams?
Instagram, DJ
Oh, okay.
Classics with a Z at the end. Don't ask me about the Z's. And
gotta get
and
creative.
Facebook,
Man.
Dallas Jackson.
All right, and to my left.
You guys can find me at TK Trinidad on everything.
At DeAnJilo TV on Twitter and at DeAnJilo on Instagram.
DeAnGlo? No DeAnGlo tonight?
Maybe. We're
know.
thinking
Switch
about
it
it.
up.
We're thinking
All
Switch it
right.
up.
Thank you guys for tuning in.
Bye.
Thank
Ciao.
you. Peace, AfterBuzz.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.